Well, good morning. This is Tampa Home Talk, and I'm your host, Katrina Madewell, hanging out with Leo today. No Adam in the studio, but we'll be okay.
Well, I mean, hurricane season's in full swing, so Adam's writing policies before he can't write policies right now.
Are there some storms out there brewing in the mix?
There was a named storm earlier this week, which makes the second named storm of the season, and it's not even June yet.
Well, technically it started, like a month ago, I think, technically, for us?
I think the storm season's I know they say it's from May through the end of November, but really it starts in June and ends at the end of October.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I was thinking, May really, think about it, even from swimming in the Gulf type perspective, the water's still a little too cool, right?
Right. And there's been almost no humidity. It's been weird. The sun sets and then all of a sudden it gets a lot cooler temperature wise.
It has been amazing in terms of the lack of humidity. Do you like it or no? I love it.
My plants don't like it, but I like it.
Yeah, that would make sense. But I love it. It feels like San Diego here.
Makes the dog walks that much more enjoyable.
Yeah. So let's get into some numbers, shall we?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So this week we have, in terms of the number of new listings, we're up a little.
That's on the rise. I'm glad to see we're having more new listings now. That's the seasonal new listings. My children are out of high school. I need to figure out where I'm going to live before the next season starts, right?
Yeah, this is interesting. This is the first time we've really seen, and granted, we're still in a seller's market, but this might be the first little tiny week that we have seen a slight change. So last week we had 673 new listings compared to this week it's 714. And if you're just tuning in, this is 3 counties, so Pasco, Pinellas, and Hillsborough, and basically only single-family homes. So there's only 714 homes to pick from. So if you're a little bit disappointed in what you're finding, or you're not quite sure why you can't find a home, that's why. There's only 714 of them as of this morning to pick from in 3 full counties.
Yeah, but there'll be 700 more next week.
Well, that's what's active on the market. So some of these are going to go pending. Some new ones will come on. But this is a little snapshot in time that we take every Friday morning just to kind of see how the market's doing. But the number of sold listings is down just a smidge. Not much, but last week we were at 1169, and this week we're at 1080.
Now, I'll be curious to see how Memorial Day, which is on Monday, will impact a sold because, banks are closed on Mondays.
Yeah, well,
Monday,
they'll try to cram it into the other 4 days is usually what happens. And the number of pendings is down just a smidge as well. So we were 1215 last week. Now we're 1207. And so I don't know that this is enough to gauge which way the market's going, right? Because next week is Memorial Day. So I think it would take the week after that to really see if these numbers are trending any particular way.
Now, I'm supposed to start wearing white next week, right? Is that the way it goes?
I can't believe you even follow that, really. I can't believe that you're even following that.
I thought it was after Memorial Day.
It is. It basically this weekend starts.
That's Miss Danielle Evans joining us this morning too, our appraiser extraordinaire here on Tampa Home Talk.
So where did that originate? Where white after Memorial Day and black after Labor Day?
You're the one with all the facts.
I know, right? Mr. Trivia should know.
It's got to relate to farming somehow, but
farming?
I think it was more of a fashion thing.
I thought it was literally for church dressing because my dad's a pastor, so we were supposed to wear white after Memorial Day, it was religious in our house. White shoes. This weekend starts.
I'm the wrong person to ask this.
Does it have something to do with the temperature in the churches without the AC running back in the day?
I don't know. This is not a Katrina question at all. I can't answer this one.
White reflects the sun. Maybe this is the kick of summer.
Yeah, there you go. Back to the white roofs and the white reflection here. So let's talk about the home values here in Tampa Bay. And it was interesting. We, as much as we all, as real estate agents, love the Z sister, right, that's out there, which we know consumers actually love. But they do write some pretty good articles sometimes, and they have some pretty good information in terms of just stats and general information. So they are, of course, a Seattle-based company, but they do research all over because, of course, they have a vested interest, right, everywhere. But it's interesting. They're saying that the home values in the Tampa metro market were an explosive growth last year. Of course, we know. We've been saying this because we live it.
And
right?
I'm living it right now because those refinances are upside down. And they hate me.
They're upside down.
Absolutely. 2013, 2015, 2008. 2003. If you purchased your home in those years, don't have me come refinance your house.
So, well, here's the thing. According to Zillow, they're saying the year-over-year increase, we're really, the Tampa metro market is among the highest in the whole U.S.
Well, I believe it. I mean,
So,
we were one of the first states to reopen. We reopened in June of last year, and now we don't even have mask laws anymore. So,
yeah, some of the
people keep still flocking here.
Yeah, people are coming here like, wow. So Zillow said Tuesday that basically in April, the typical home value was up over $37,000, coming in at $271,353.
That's like a 16% increase.
It's 16% over 2020. And think about what was going on in April of 2020.
April of 2020, Florida was closed, and we were being named whether or not we would be essential.
Right.
Yeah.
We
nobody
were
can
in
answer
limbo.
that.
We were in
That's
a 6-week limbo
and
at that
people
point.
were, I remember, because we were still selling houses in that time. We were still getting people, or people were being laid off during that time.
I was doing massive amounts of cash out refinances, not purchases.
And essentially,
and cashiers and McDonald's workers were being called first responders.
Yeah.
that's crazy. But anyway.
Hey, somebody's got to feed the truck drivers. I actually feel that McDonald's workers, after the pandemic, they are essential workers, and they should have hero pay.
There you go.
Do you hear about these nurses? They took the vaccine, got $1,000 for taking the vaccine.
And they got to go to the Super Bowl.
But then they caught COVID, and now they get to pay. They get to use 10 days of PTO to take 10 days off for COVID.
Wait, they had the vaccine and then they got COVID?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
It's all over
Well,
TikTok.
apparently there are different strands or mutations that are
true.
continuing to come, including people coming from overseas. There's different strands that are coming. I told y'all, I'm almost positive I had it twice. I know for sure I had it in December. I really think I had it in January of last year.
I feel I had it twice too, and I feel like I had it November before it was ever announced. I felt like my entire family had it in November. We went on a cruise, came home from a cruise, dead to the world for 2 weeks,
Yeah.
and then we know that right around the same time that you got it, we were like, we might as well imagine we have it, even if
Well,
we kept
speaking of
testing positive.
cruises,
But everybody we know had it.
So they're basically figuring out how they can make this safe. So I know some of the things they're doing. And if you've been to any places that have, there's been very few places that have been open or have had any type of buffet thing, but they always have somebody serving. So like I went to an art show and they had a breakfast buffet, but nobody touches it. The people put it on your plate and they hand it to you and that's it. So I think they're going to go that way.
And Fred's Market has a really good concept out in Plant City.
Oh, that place is excellent.
It's
I love it,
excellent,
too.
and they redesigned their whole place. There's a hand washing station, but it doesn't stop there. They give you rubber gloves, and then
Good.
and then there's somebody that comes behind you and washes everything you've touched. So it's a real system.
So they make people wash and use gloves before they touch anything.
Absolutely.
That's great. I
and
think
then
it's a good
and then
plan.
when you get to the end, they tell you, give me those gloves back. Like they don't want you to reuse the gloves
So they throw 'em
twice.
away. Okay.
They don't want you to go to your table with those gloves and then come back to the
Yeah.
buffet. So they're very strict. And Fred's Market is my favorite place on the planet. So I was so happy to see that this wasn't going to detrimentally.
Yeah, because they're
hurt
known
them.
for their buffet.
Known, and they have more than one location.
Yeah, and I mean, take a look at places like Sweet Tomatoes. It no longer exists.
It's gone. It's gone.
I don't know where the old people are going to get salads from.
It wasn't that fabulous to begin with, so
But
I
for-
think it.
but
For bland salads and salty soups.
For gym rats, and I'm sorry, for gym rats, that was the place to go. I could have eaten at Sweet Tomatoes 3 times a week.
Why a gym rat? Because you need protein, and you have to pay extra for the protein.
Well, there is, and there's protein there. There's plenty of protein, especially vegetarians that eat all that. Their salads were for vegetarians.
I like their ice cream, their soft serve. I wonder what they did with all those soft serve machines.
Okay, how did we get so far sideways?
Okay.
He's here.
16% increase from last year. Housing prices exploded.
No, I feel it. Like, literally, I feel it. I know you feel it, Danielle. I mean, literally, we're getting, I should pull this one in the verbiage that I put to the appraiser, but the appraiser reached out on one of my listings. We had it priced around $425. I think it ended up going for $465. We had multiple offers. People waiving the appraisal contingency, which means they're bringing the difference. And the appraiser reached out. And so do you want to know how I responded? Danielle, you'll love this. I said something along the lines of, I knew you were going to reach out to me and ask me for data. I'm happy to give it to you. Here's what I found for comps. It's probably very similar to what you found. And what I've also noticed is every single one of my pending sales is substantially higher than everything active or sold, which means can you appraisers please stop marking the box that we are in balance? Can you please not?
No, we're going to keep doing it until you guys stop taking seller concessions. Until you guys.
There's no seller concessions.
Oh, they're on every
Oh my, we're going to
every report. You're coming to my office.
Oh, this
you
is
not
are
on mine.
coming to
Am
my
I going to be
office.
mediating a fight?
You're
We're not
coming to
seeing
my
it.
office.
We are not seeing any concessions.
Every report, every single report. I have the first question I have from an agent, why didn't you make a time adjustment? Oh, I don't know, because there's seller concessions on every comp.
Not on us.
813-377-2775. That's 813-377-2775. When we come back, I will be moderating
Yeah, well,
this
I'll
argument.
finish my actual thought when we come back and tell you what the language the appraiser liked. All right, we'll be back.
Welcome home. This is Leo Kane with Tampa Home Talk. I am going to continue where we were talking, Danielle, last segment. Here's some interesting statistics that I found from the numbers, because, I'm a numbers guy. So a typical home in Tampa metro area is $271,000. So that's up 16%, and we covered that last segment. What's interesting is we look at all of the U.S., a typical home price is $281,000. So Tampa is actually depressed compared to the rest of the world.
Absolutely.
U.S.
Absolutely.
There's the words.
And we have no more affordable housing left either.
Well, according to this, if our typical home in Tampa is $10,000 less than the national typical home.
Got to look at our employment. Our median income here doesn't even substantiate enough to afford our median income home.
But with all the tech we have here, every time you turn around, another tech company is relocating here.
To Puerto Rico. They're going to head on down to Puerto Rico soon. They're not going to. They're stopping here on their way down. The tax incentive is great, but the one in Puerto Rico is better.
Does Puerto Rico have the infrastructure? They were hit pretty hard with the last couple of hurricanes.
They're rebuilding it. The tech companies are actually rebuilding Puerto Rico, and they're all living there. We have lost a lot of major companies down in Miami that have taken off and gone to Puerto Rico for the tax savings alone.
Wow.
And there's a special program for it that beats our tax program because, we have a huge tax program here. If you bring a corporation here, you get a huge tax incentive, and Puerto Rico's is actually bigger and better right now.
I might have to relocate my company.
You're all about that tropical.
I'm always looking for that next tax incentive.
Yep.
Any word on if Puerto Rico is going to be becoming a state anytime soon?
It's so corrupt there that I can't I follow it, but then I don't know what's real news and fake news. It's very hard to determine what's true and what's not.
That's with any news. But
Yeah.
We're technically a news outlet here. We are Tampa Home Talk. We're giving you the real estate news and the real estate market.
But it's a real estate news
It's
from the
real.
trenches. How's
Yeah.
that?
I don't know. It's coming from the Z-Man.
Well, it was just an interesting little snapshot, but we are feeling that, so I do believe it's accurate. So, Danielle, as much as, we have this love-hate relationship in terms of opinion, right? She always, I know she'll appreciate my verbiage and what I sent to the appraiser, so I'll read it and I'll let her respond, so you can pretend you're the appraiser getting my email, right?
But she can only appreciate it if you have 3 comparables.
So, I sent her comps.
I want 6.
Basically, there was more than 6. But anyway, she's reaching out, right? You're looking for comps. You see what's going on. So I'm emailing this appraiser, and I said, hi, appraiser. As you know, this offer is not contingent upon the appraisal merely because we know the appraisers cannot appraise to keep up with the current market value. Every offer that is currently being accepted has a waiver of appraisal, and as you will see in my attached comps, the pending sales are substantially higher than the sold listings, which represents a current depiction of the market we are in and where buyers are putting offers in way over list, still competing with multiple offers and agreeing to pay the appraisal difference. In 30 years, I've never seen a market like this, and I'm really hoping you will also see this in the data and acknowledge in your appraisal report that the supply is definitely a shortage and that the demand is high, thus an increasing market. Last, below is a list of updates from the seller since they've updated the home. And then I listed off some stuff. You'll agree some of these may not be adjustment worthy, but maybe it will reflect the condition that the appraiser picks, right? So there's plantation shutters in every room, pantry overhaul with barn door, newer appliances, new fans throughout, built-in Murphy beds, California closets in all the rooms, fresh paint, new roof in 2019. That's a big one. Gutters installed, new driveway sealed, travertine pool decking, and hope all this information helps. Let me know if I can provide additional information to support you and your appraisal.
I would
You
put
like
that right
right?
directly in the report.
So she asked me.
I would just add it to the
she
report.
said, I like some of your verbiage, and I'm definitely going to use it. Would that be okay with you? I said,
I would have
absolutely.
put the entire thing in the report.
So,
Add this page.
So, but here's the thing. Like, you can't argue with this.
I can't
right?
argue with this, but you have to argue with Fannie Mae and close comps are
look,
close
I understand.
comps.
So, like, but you get this appraiser, instead of me being the bad guy, you're like, oh, you're in my corner. You get it. You're seeing what we're seeing.
And then the only thing that, as an appraiser, that all of your appraisal waivers and appraisal contingencies, they're all great and wonderful. Half the appraisers don't understand exactly the verbiage that you're using because a lot of it's backwards from what we've seen in the past. And appraisers get confused. And I have a deal on my desk right now. The house is worth $399,000, but somebody offered $470,000. Why is it the bank's responsibility to pay $470,000? Why is it the bank's responsibility to overpay just because the market that we're in?
But the bank
that's
the thing. The bank is not overpaying $470,000. If it's worth $399,000 and the buyer is making an appraisal waiver,
then why is the buyer calling me death threats? Like,
well,
let's talk about this one.
The buyer is probably mad because they have to pay the difference. But if they wrote a contract saying they're going to do it, that's all that matters.
Right now, we have buyers that have signed waivers of appraisal appraisal contingency, and we will have the buyer go right behind the agent's back, call us up, and tell us, you over-appraised my house, and I couldn't use your appraisal to negotiate my price lower.
They can't
anyway.
make
this up. I can't
I mean,
make this
if
up.
there's an appraisal waiver,
it doesn't
they can't
matter.
use it to negotiate.
Right now, the buyers are so ignorant, and it is up to the agents to make them knowledgeable.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not happening.
Oh, you're right about
happening.
that. I see it. You're right.
Yep. And
I can't argue that one.
I see agents saying, I can't, like, they're downing VA, they're downing FHA. At this time right now, it is up to the seller to determine which contract they want to accept. And there's a lot of people that are being outbid, and it's ridiculous outbids. I just don't understand why anybody wouldn't just stay still for a while, let it calm back down, and then go back out there. There is physically nowhere to rent, nowhere to buy. Why are you out there doing it? Just to overpay?
Well, no, listen, we have a differing opinion on this. We really do.
Somewhere.
We do, because in 2013, we overpaid.
All right, so
we feel it today. In 2015, we overpaid.
It's all relative.
But you don't do refinances. You don't see what I see on the cash side. We have 8 reports on our desk right now. Mom and dad have cashed out their 401ks for their children to buy a house.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
The day after, that's a straw buyer.
Your children need to go to work and save some money.
Absolutely. And they are using their cash because they can get their 401k. They got their 401k and cashed it all out with no penalty. Instead of putting all that money back now that the pandemic's over, they have now borrowed and lent that money to their children.
Well,
so then I come in the day after they just overpaid. I come in to cash out refinance. And guess what I'm coming in at?
So
below what they purchased it for, and mom and dad are not getting their 401k money back. We saw this in 2008, and it's happening again.
So some of our Facebook listeners are disagreeing. They're like, this is not true. There are people that are buying and renting right now. We are finding it for people.
Okay, I've looked at 30 rentals in the past week and a half for myself. I have been looking for a rental for 3.5 months. Anybody have one? I'll be more than welcome. I'll come see it. I have a great credit score. I make plenty of money, but there's 35 people with me trying to apply for the same house. Yeah. There's nothing to rent. There's nothing to buy.
So let's put this into perspective, right? Because according to their report, they said in April, right, the average home price is now up to $271,353. Here's the thing. They also did a typical U.S. home value in April, so all across the United States, and that was a $281,370. So when I look at those two numbers, comparatively speaking, I would say Tampa is still underpriced.
Absolutely not. We were so underpriced.
I knew you were going to say that. What are your thoughts, Leo? You've lived in other markets. Do you have any opinion on that?
I mean, Tampa is, according to the statistics, Tampa is underpriced compared to the rest of the U.S.
And
what's your opinion before you saw
employment? Where's our employment? Where's our median income
You're
nationally?
the one that just said that the companies get these huge bonuses
to leave.
No, they're coming into the state.
They're coming in.
They're coming
into
in,
the state.
and they're getting that grant money. And those ones, yeah, Amazon's doing great here. There are some big corporations, but the tech companies are moving to Puerto Rico.
I still look at the unemployment rate, and I look at all these companies that can't find people to work. And there's this disconnect. It reminds me of when I was a musician, and I would go into the Guitar Center or wherever, and I'd be a bass player looking for a band, and there'd be a bunch of bands looking for bass players, and then on the same board, there's also a bunch of bass players looking for bands, and you think the two of them would hook up.
Actually, can read and connect.
Yeah, then I'm like the people looking for musicians and the people that are musicians looking for bands are on the same board together. And I view that kind of like the whole employment market. You've got a whole bunch of people, companies that can't find people to work. I mean, I've had 2 this year where I've given a job offer. They said they would be there on Monday, the exit of whatever month, and then that day rolls around and they don't show up.
Or they turn it down because not enough money. Do you get that?
Or they turn it down because it's not enough money the day before they're supposed to start. But I mean, the companies can't find workers, and then you've got all these workers that supposedly can't find a job. And maybe it's a skill thing. Maybe they need to pick up another soft skill, or they need to pick up a trade. But there's just this huge disconnect right now between the two.
Yeah. I think, it's going to take some stuff to shift and crackle a little bit before people realize they still actually do have to go to work. But nonetheless, I don't think our prices are really going to slow down, and we're not going to see like what we saw before, Danielle. I just don't see that.
I don't think we're going to see what we saw before, but I have
hold that thought,
I have short sales and foreclosures on my desk.
813-377-2775. 813-377-2775.
Stick around. We'll be back.
Welcome home, Tampa Home Talk. Our number is 813-377-2775. That's 813-377-2775. We'd love to hear from you. If you happen to be a recent transfer into the state who's currently renting, looking for a home, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to put you in a new home. And by we, I mean Katrina, because I have nothing to do with it.
Well, we also would like to know what you think about our values. Do you think they're in check from where you came from? Do you think... granted, if you had to buy a home in this market, you're probably not loving it because I'm sure you got outbid on several properties. I heard from somebody else the other day that literally some real estate agents, because this market is so competitive and they can't compete like in the skill set, that they're literally going to get jobs somewhere because they can't get offers accepted and they can't get any new inventory.
I have to tell you something that I saw in the market. There's a real estate agent out there that only allows you to see the inside of the house with a signed, executed contract.
Yeah, I've heard that too. I haven't seen it yet.
Signed, executed contract before you can ever view the home, other than on MLS.
So this is a seller.
This is an agent.
A seller.
Yes.
Go them. I mean, if I'm getting 40 offers within the first 24 hours of putting a house on the market.
Don't even want to disrupt the tenants.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. If I'm getting 40 offers, I don't want a zoo the first day.
And I did not dog this agent. I told her to tune in today.
We do see that, though, on investment properties.
Absolutely. On investment properties, now's the time to dump. And they don't want to disrupt their tenants.
That makes sense.
And if their tenants can't come to the table with financing to stay in the home, when their lease is up, they're out. We have a lot of tenants right now in the market that have nowhere to live. They have nowhere to live.
Well, I mean, it's, again, if you look at areas like San Diego, if you don't already own a home, you're likely priced out of the market because, I mean, it's $500,000 for a tiny little condo.
So basically what we're having here is we're having buyers buy a house that they can't see until they have a signed contract, and they can't get out of for finance. They can't get out of.
They have to sign a waiver of appraisal contingency just to be able to have their contract accepted.
Appraisal, finance, and inspection.
They're waiving the right to drop
out.
Absolutely, the first person that signs the waiver on the home inspection and the appraisal, wins the contract, and now
We've had some. I've
That's
had
rough.
more than one. I had a client that moved here from North Carolina that just bought a home, barely saw it once, no inspection, no appraisal, all cash. Here's your offer. It was interesting on that one because it already went, I think she went 10,000 above the list price, all cash, zero contingencies, like nothing.
Yeah.
And essentially they end up taking another offer, and then I don't know what happened. That buyer flaked out whatever after the inspection, and I knew the listing agent. She calls me back. She says, "Hey, is your buyer still available? Does she still want the house? Because our offer, I think, is falling through, and we'd rather just take your offer than put it back on the market."
If they sign all these waivers and they want to back out, does that mean that their escrow is just gone? There's no
it's
way
gone,
to get
yeah. And if it's all cash and they provided proof of funds, technically they can be sued for failure to perform after they go through mediation and arbitration.
they could actually be forced to buy the entire house, whether they have the money to do it or not, too.
Oh, wow.
Well, it depends on if it's all cash, they provided
all
proof
cash
of funds,
and
so they've
proof of
got the
funds,
money.
yes.
I think I would just rather, in this market at least, take their escrow money, however it is, and
And
then
move
just
on. I would
move
too.
on and
Yeah.
sell it again. I mean,
would
that's
too.
making money
Yeah.
for just doing nothing.
Now, I will talk about in your case with this, you have a house that all your pending sales
Are higher.
substantiate your contract price.
Yep.
You know what I'm going to do as an appraiser?
Wait for one to sell.
I'm hanging on to this appraisal for 2 weeks. It's sitting on my desk. Everybody's wondering why it's late. And guess what? You're closing
You're
on
waiting for
time
something
at
to
contract
sell.
price. As after I call every single agent and find out when those pending sales are going to close, and then the day those close, I'm going to turn in the report the next day. So everybody that's asking where your late appraisals are, find out where your pending comps are closing, and you'll find out when you're going to get your appraisal.
I actually stall the appraiser sometimes because of that. 'cause
They
in
should.
this
The bank's
market-
not going to.
yeah.
The bank will not stall us. So
Well, we stall you guys.
will.
I don't let you in if I know we've got some pending stuff that's going to close
And I don't
higher.
blame you.
Yeah.
I would do the same exact thing. New
Well, it makes
construction
sense.
right
I mean,
now.
I know what you're looking at.
I work
so.
for all the new construction in Pasco County, and I've actually gone to the big guys, and I said, "Look, you have us out there at foundation to appraise these, like that's how it's always been. You need to wait until it's done.
Yeah.
If it's not done, we cannot come anywhere close to that contract price."
Well, I've got one
stupid.
right now that was, one of the smaller builders in Seminole Heights. And these builder contracts are very one-sided. There is no finance or appraisal contingency. It just doesn't exist. So I had to explain this to the buyer. And, here they're making multiple offers, getting outbid. And this property was just a smidge more, and it was brand new. So he's like, this is a much better deal. And I said, I would agree. And so he's like, well, what do you think? Is it going to appraise? Because, $15,000 is a lot of money to lose. I said, I understand. It's a risk you're taking with a builder contract.
In new construction, you're going to get it all back.
Well, so I told him, I
overpay
said, let's look at the comps. So we looked at the comps, and I said, there is stuff to support it, and there's also some pending. So if it's me, I'm going to try to just delay this appraisal a hair until we know some of these are closing, because I know that it's going to take off.
And I have completely pulled out of Hernando County.
What's the deal with Hernando?
Yeah, why is everyone bash
Public
Hernando?
records and MLS are deplorable up there, and I've been appraising up there for 18 years, and I finally pulled the plug. If they can't get it together and get all on one MLS system to make my job less risky, I don't need to appraise.
They're not
there.
on one MLS system?
Nope, they have two
remember,
different.
that's what I told
and they
you.
don't
True.
even reciprocate. They don't even share. They're not even
Only
here's
with
the
West
thing.
Pasco.
You don't want to share with the agents? Fine. Share with the appraisers. Give the appraisers the data they need to complete the work. I've appraised in Hernando County for 18 years, and
So
it's
they're
a
not
bad
putting
day
it in
when we pull the plug.
So we are a member of Hernando MLS, but I rarely use it because it's a
How much
terrible
do you pay
system.
for it?
I don't know. But
We dropped it because it got so high because we pay for the same amount as an agent. It was double. It was the same price as what I'm paying in Pinellas.
Well, because it's different for you. Like I already have a main membership, so for me it's a secondary membership.
I have a
and it's
main
cheaper.
membership too. I am just
it should be cheaper.
No, it's not. I'm an agent. I'm not an agent, so I pay the max for everything.
They know that too.
And they know
So, but tell me about the data. I'm curious about that. So
it's awful. No days on market. How's the bank accepting that? Hernando MLS has no days on market. They don't give the list price. They don't give the original
so
list
it's not
amount.
a required field.
They're not required fields. It's such an outdated system that it's junk. There's nothing that it gives us that we can put in a report. Pulled the plug. Everybody's still calling me to work in Hernando. Sorry, can't do it. Until Hernando wakes up and gets with the program, this is the market we get sued in.
There was a Pinellas Realtor organization actually was trying to strike up a deal.
That's why I'm with Pinellas.
Well, because they bought, they technically didn't buy, but they sort of bought Central Pasco Association of Realtors, and they tried to strike a deal to merge with Hernando County Association of Realtors.
And the vote failed.
They could not.
Yep. Couldn't do it. And it's several times in my career. And I just finally got sick of paying for a system I couldn't rely on and I couldn't use. And at the end of the day, I go to federal prison for what I do for a living. And it's not a mistake to not have the proper data to complete your job. It's a mistake to work in Hernando County.
I don't like the data myself. And honestly, the best thing we do is just, if I have a listing and it's in Hernando, we'll make sure it gets put in that MLS system too. Mm-hmm. But like in terms of trying to, I know what she's saying, because in terms of trying to search comps for data,
it's like reading Chinese.
Yeah. How do we get someone from Hernando County on the show?
It'll never happen.
On the show to convince them about our problems.
I'll stand next to them and teach them how to build the system.
If we can't be agents of change and we're the media, then
we've been trying to change Fernando Brownie for the past 20 years.
You'd be better off searching the statewide MLS. Yep. You would have better data than you do.
There's a statewide MLS?
Yeah. Which is not that fabulous either.
It's not fabulous.
It's still better.
It's like the old dot matrix system. Yeah. It's bad.
So I don't know where the other side of this is. We get that question a lot. All I know is the number of people that I see moving into the state on a regular basis.
As an agent.
And I know what they're spending, and I know.
Do you know where the money's coming from, though?
Yeah.
Where?
There's a chart that it's like as money moves or something.
Yep.
And it shows from the IRS where the money is coming. I printed it, so I know Manhattan is a big one.
Okay.
So there's a lot of money moving from Manhattan to here, Connecticut, New Jersey, Chicago.
And those are the big ones. And now, when I say where's the money coming from, is this a cash out refinance of their homes up north, or is this their liquid?
This is so much bigger than that. This is basically where people are filing their tax returns from one year to the next, because it pulls like IRS data, and where's their new address that they're filing.
My biggest concern is we have had 3/4 of the cash in our country has been printed in the past 9 months.
Listen, I've got that same concern you do.
There are PPP loans. I have multiple companies. I only have one that is established and running, but in my lifetime, I've had plenty of companies. Every single company that's inactive was fraudulently had a PPP loan taken out, and I am unraveling 4 companies that some other Joe Schmo in another world reactivated my corporations and took out $190,000 loans in 4 businesses in my name.
Oh my gosh.
That's almost $1 million. Almost $1 million is out there floating around. It's no responsibility of mine. I properly closed every one of those businesses. Somebody went to somebiz.org, paid the $125. One of them
to activate to get a PPP
activate. They paid my back. You know how you get that $400 fine if you don't pay on time? They paid that to reactivate my businesses.
Wow.
To get now the government has the bank account that the money was put in. Those people are going to be found. They're going to jail for money laundering, fraud, everything. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And if you think that just the 4 companies I own, that's where it ends, no.
There's got to be.
There is a person out there that's just sitting on the sunbiz.org taking every inactive company and applying for PPP loans for them.
Anytime there's money floating around, there's a fraudster on the other side looking for a way to capture some of that money.
Absolutely.
Now you got me curious about my old companies.
There you go. Now he's like,
you can search by your company name on the PPP loan website. The SBA has, this is how bad it is for me. It's an app on my phone. And you can actually search by your name, your business name, your social security number. And the day I started, you'll get stuff in the mail that says you accepted this. And that's when you have to start filing all the fraud paperwork. but it's real. There's a lot of fraud out there, and there's a lot of money in this. There's a lot of cash in this world right now.
Yeah.
I have people that are calling me up asking me as the appraiser, I have $190,000 under my mattress. How come nobody will let me buy a house?
Well, I'd be curious about this. And Leo, I'd love to hear your opinion. And Schreiner, I know you're on the back side of the board. So just really curious to know, and we'll chat about this when we come back after the break. What are your thoughts on all this money that's being printed? Because I do think that's probably the bigger picture in terms of issues coming on the horizon. So this is Tampa Home Talk. We'll chat about that when we come back right after the break. Our off-air number is 813-377-2775. Again, 813-377-2775.
Welcome home. Final segment, hour one of Tampa Home Talk. This is just zooming by.
It always does when we have fun, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm just moderating a debate right now.
Moderating a debate.
And I'm trying to...
So here, I mean, have done all this talk about, like, are the market valuations real? Are they this? Are they that? I think the bigger problem we're going to see, not just here, but in the U.S., is going to be the fact that we have printed so much money and the inflation and what it's going to look like on the other side of that, because the dollar cannot sustain this long term, which is why I think, things like currency like Bitcoin and the cryptocurrencies are going crazy, because it's going to be this safe haven that's going to be, you can move it, right, to other countries or whatever. It's going to be like I think it's going to end up being the world currency, which is the U.S. dollar right now.
I've had this discussion with numerous people about cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency, until people stop treating it as day trading and start treating it as a currency, it's never going to be widely accepted. Because you don't see people like, oh my God, got to invest 10,000 euro in the peso because the peso is going to double in value.
Absolutely.
I mean, cryptocurrency is a currency.
Yeah.
And until people treat it as such, it can't gain its true function. Because right now, people are just using it as a gambling tool.
And I don't think that's going to happen until people do start accepting it more widely. Then it will become a currency. So it's this yin and yang.
But because as long as people like Mr. Whoever, who I don't want to mention his name, are massively influencing the market with just a tweet,
yes,
then
absolutely,
then it can never be a currency.
Absolutely,
it's like it is like
Dogecoin is up to what now?
Whatever. I mean, it's just crazy. And then you got the Dogecoin killer currencies. I mean, they're real currencies. I mean, they're based on digital transfers. But you think I have money sitting in the bank. I've never physically held that cash. It's all digital anyway. It's a safer form of digital money sitting in the bank, once people stop treating it as a gambling tool.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. At some point, it's got to come to a head. What I'm concerned about is the amount of taxation that's going to be on the other side of it to actually get out of this hole.
The fees to get it out, the fees to put the money in, fees to get the money out, fees to trade it.
Are you talking about cryptocurrency?
Yeah, fees for everything.
I mean, I'm gonna go on a cruise to Mexico. I'm gonna go to the International Mall. I'm gonna visit the kiosk. I'm gonna take dollars, turn it into pesos. I get charged a fee. Yep. I do the same thing on the boat. I get charged a higher fee. I come back. I got to decide, am I going back to Mexico in the next 2 years? Do I want to hold on to this money?
Yep.
Do I want to go back to the mall, or do I want to use the boat, get hit with more fees to turn it back into dollars? So from a currency standpoint, transaction fees of changing money from one type to another isn't uncommon.
Right. It's not going to change from any currency to the next.
I mean, what you're asking for is a situation like when I go to Belize, I can either turn dollars into Belizean
money.
Pesos, I think they're pesos. Or I can pay in U.S. dollars because the currency is a 2-to-1 switch. So everyone either accepts either form of currency. That's interchangeable. And that's what people want. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple. They want that level of purchase power here in the U.S. where I don't have to turn my money. But I mean, if someone came up to me and said, I want to pay for your home inspection in euros, I'm going to laugh at them.
What about, would you take Bitcoin or
no,
Ethereum?
I'm going to laugh at them too. I'm like, give me the currency of commerce in the U.S. Yep. I mean, great. I'm
surprised you would not take Bitcoin or Ethereum. I could totally see you
I
doing
am in the
that.
same boat with you. People think I'm crazy too.
It's a currency.
It's a currency.
I don't take pesos. I don't take euros.
And I'm not dealing in yen.
I don't take kroner. I take dollars.
So this goes back to the same point. The U.S. dollar is currently the world currency. So
That's arguable.
it has been for a long time.
That's also arguable. That you're only saying that because you're blinded in the U.S. The euro has gained and has maintained popularity as a world currency as well. We don't have a world currency.
But that's the point, right? Of something like crypto is it's not based out of any one country
I
or
think
one.
If we're moving towards one world government, which some of those left-wing environmentalists say we have to save the planet from destroying itself, a cryptocurrency could be a one world currency.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, it could be.
So you got to think about it though. Like, what happens if the U.S. dollar crashes? Right? People would be pushing money as fast as they can into things like gold, right, and the commodities that you need, no matter what.
But along the same lines, there are other studies done, and I'm not saying I support any right or left views, but another view is that by putting $1 into the system when the system is crashing, you get a 2 times return on that dollar. That's the theory out there, and that's the theory they use to do all the stimulus.
I don't think it's wrong. However, I think the way they've been going about it is wrong, if that makes sense.
I think
the world's strong enough, or the U.S. is strong enough to regain anything that we're in, right? Because our workforce typically has created the world that we live in.
But you have to look at it like this. If you took, when COVID happened, the tourism shut down. All these industries shut down. All this money that used to come from overseas stopped coming into the U.S. So we printed more money and gave it to our own citizens to make up that deficit.
And then,
after
we're still not tapping into what happens after the pandemic. Number one.
But here's the bigger picture, real quick, before you get into that.
We need people going back to work.
The $700, the $1,400 stimulus, whatever it was, right? You got that stimulus check, right?
No.
You didn't get a stimulus check?
We didn't get any. Him and I got nothing. Nothing. We didn't even get a tax write-off.
I guess I got it because my husband's an employee somewhere. So the point is, there's a lot of people I know that got the stimulus checks that really didn't need them, and I feel like it was a waste. It should have been more along the lines
You got stimulus because of those right there. You have children.
So, but here's okay, so maybe that's it. But the point is, I still didn't need it. So instead of handing out free money, I feel like it should have been more along the welfare system, right? So like if you're truly in a tourist industry and it was shut down, put the money into those programs where people have to apply, they have to show that their employer shut down, they don't have the money, they don't have the means.
I completely agree with you, and there are 2 counters to that. One, if you put a system in place to say who gets what money, one, it's going to delay the giving of that money.
It would delay it.
2, it's going to increase the cost. What if it cost them $900 to give someone a $700 check?
Look, that's a fair argument.
Those are the counter arguments there.
Let's talk about what's going to make or break our market. We haven't even tapped into the divorce rate. Florida is the leading divorce state at the moment.
We need a divorce attorney over here.
We are up 12% nationally. It's at 10%.
Don't
Florida.
worry, we will get you a husband too, Danielle.
Oh, no, I don't want a husband. I really don't want a husband.
She's playing the odds.
But here's the
divorce
thing.
rates are almost high enough for me to win.
So now we take our median income, which is bottom of the barrel. Now you throw a divorce in that mix. Whose house is getting foreclosed on?
Okay, well, we have to wrap up all the divorcee, housing, whatever type of
So
chat for hour
divorce is going
one.
to cause the next 2008. It's not going to be the banks. It's going to be divorce.
It's going to be divorce and employment.
It's
divorce
going to be the
and
breakdown
employment.
Okay, wait,
human
listen.
values in the United States of America that causes the
May is
collapse
Water
of the
Safety
housing market.
Month. We'll be back right after this break with our new segment, Water Safety Month for May. Back in a minute.
5.